So, we're starting the Utilities Committee meeting today, February 27th. Start out with Waste Management Contract Amendment update.
Okay, so this is fairly straightforward, and to some degree this meeting will be hopefully brief. So as you recall, in 2016 we had updated our very long-term waste management agreement. All this amendment to last year's agreement is doing is updating Exhibit A in that agreement. Exhibit A lists the services that Waste Management provides at no fee. Now we have added at fee. We found out during this process that they had been hauling away our decant and our street sweeper material for free, and they should have been charging. So we actually,
I like the free better.
right, but they have to haul that to a different facility, and so that was like one of those handshake things that, as we're cleaning things up at the new decant facilities, oh, well, you can't do that. So, but that was something that we initiated actually in 2016, a couple months ago. We've subsequently, though, added up at the decant facility an additional roll-off 30-yard, which isn't going to have any materials in it off the roads or anything. So that's at no charge. And then they also did the 11 cans, the garbage and recycling that was in the mayor's budget for the.
So that includes all the new cans.
That's
not
the new
just-
cans and the refurbished cans.
Okay.
So that's really all this amendment is
The
doing.
refurbished they'll go in a park somewhere, so we'll have to identify those locations.
Right. So they have 11 cans total though, garbage and recycling
Downtown.
downtown.
Where is the recycling at City Hall? What does EOW mean?
It's downstairs by the boiler room.
Okay.
The janitor picks it up.
Okay.
This is probably not exactly the time, but Chimes and Lights is we need a garbage dumpster of some sort. We were going to talk about exchanging that service for keeping the tent up the Jingle Bell Run, helping with that. We'll be discussing that later on in Chimes
Yeah,
and
that'll
Lights.
be
That will be
whether they do that, that wouldn't be a part of
No,
this.
it would be our event.
Yeah, and you would just like when we have event sponsors that have to do that.
Would they be an event sponsor? Are they an event sponsor?
Who?
At Waste Management?
Waste Management.
They could
Oh.
sponsor a dumpster or something.
You could-
Sponsor a dumpster.
You could always
I like
ask.
this idea, Fred.
Yeah, it gets their name out there.
Yeah.
You can put a logo on our
It's a good
website.
spot. Okay.
Okay, so that's that one fairly straightforward. So I think Brandy is bringing that. I think it's on the agenda.
This,
It's either tomorrow or the 14th.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I don't recall this on tomorrow's agenda.
I think it's on the 14th.
Okay.
Now, this surplusing, this piece of property, that only happens when we develop a new reservoir.
Right, so this is an update. So at the last meeting, we talked about selling the reservoir and that made sense. This is Bremerton's current due diligence and response. So the fact that they're wanting the reservoir and land is, we still haven't, this is just keeping you up to date. This is going to be a process, and we said that last time, that we're not sure
I think we
if
should
there's
give-
value to selling the land or not.
Yeah, why wouldn't we give up at least
Right.
do it for $1 a year
Right.
and then sell them the assets?
Right. So this is just more of informational of, we had this kumbaya moment where it's like, hey, we should consider this for retail water service. Then we got the letter from the city saying, yeah, City of Bremerton saying, yeah, we should consider this. This is just their first response back. Neither Thomas and I were expecting to get a land purchase out of it. So this is just really, we'll report back again after we have some conversations as to why would you want to purchase the land.
Well, I think at this point is, well, thanks for the information. we'll get back to you when we're ready to proceed, which could be a year or two. I mean, once we have our own new reservoir, then we can look at surplusing this reservoir, selling the land or not, but it's all really kind of, this is great that both parties are willing at this point until we're ready to take action. Last thing we want to do is sell a reservoir that we're still using.
Right, yeah, we know that the timing on that wouldn't happen until our new reservoir is built.
So we're at least a year, if not two out,
Yeah,
I would say. Thomas, you're,
Unless there was a situation where some sort of an agreement was worked out that wasn't a time binding agreement that said at the point that this happens, then this will happen. So you know what I'm saying?
I don't see any upside to us. Bremerton is not gonna go anywhere.
The only way that I could see it benefiting us is if we were able to leverage it against, or not against, but with McCormick to speed up their process of constructing.
How would that happen?
Bremerton or McCormick desperately wants to control their own build out, and in order to do that, there could be a situation where, you know, I mean, we just had a conference call with Greg Krabby last week where, you know, he was basically saying, what do I need to do to speed this up? And if the answer to that is, well, build that reservoir quicker, and Bremerton tells Craig, build that reservoir quicker.
But, so do that, that has no impact on this. When that reservoir gets built, let's talk about this.
Right. I'm just saying that Bremerton leaning on McCormick might speed things up
Right.
and benefit themselves as well as us.
right, because Bremerton is dealing with McCormick communities as well, because they have McCormick North. Everything on the north side of Clifton is in their water retail service area. So Bremerton is also having the same sorts of conversations of how they're going to provide water for McCormick communities.
So really, it's up to, right now the ball is in McCormick Communities Court for them to figure out sewer, water, the well, the reservoir, transmission mains, and whether they act on that agreement that we've proposed, and they build this infrastructure or not. Otherwise, they're waiting for us to build it in our capital plan, which could be many years down the road, which that they don't want that. They want to do it, you know, as fast as they can.
Right.
Right, and
Capture
remember
this
that there's a 590, 580 zone ILA that's still active in that. We have that two-way intertie. So we'll at some point have to deal with that. And then there's an issue that this is probably a good time to bring it up. There may be people coming to the council meeting tomorrow.
Tomorrow or maybe the 28th.
Tomorrow's the 28th.
Or
The 14th. That actually are in the ridge, and they're getting water. Whether, is it just the ridge or is that Bayside plant?
Ridge.
The ridge. And they're in Bremerton's retail water service area, but they're unhappy with quality, quantity.
They're happy with mineral content and pressure, lack of pressure.
So they felt like they would come to our council meeting, which to me, you would go to the Bremerton council meeting and talk about that. Because to come to our council meeting, they're talking about a change in the retail water service area.
I think we would gladly take them as customers.
Well, if,
Could we do it? I mean,
If
it's-
Bremerton,
well, we don't have a
Didn't want-
source.
oh, there's that.
And now, if we got, if we had well 12 and well 11 on, that maybe, but I think you're really talking about, even with that, you're talking about, they're feeding that out of their Anderson.
They're feed them out of this reservoir, aren't they? But from their source.
Their source is
And we
from-
lack, right now we lack, so we're buying water from Bremerton. So all of a sudden, if we took them, you're right, we'd be buying the water from Bremerton, they get the same water.
But I don't know why they're having pressure problems, because, well, I guess that's just, if they built that tank that they originally were gonna
Can you-
build over here. that
can you
would be
guys-
over there.
Thomas, can you just figure out contact Bremerton to find out what their issues are?
I did. I called Kathleen and I
What's
just.
the problem? What's the real issue?
they don't think that there is a problem. They think that this is more of a
Perception.
somebody's, yeah. So they can't build a different elevation reservoir because obviously it's the same system.
So nothing's changed from when they bought their house.
Right. And so I think, they called and it sounded like there was a small group of them, maybe 3 or 4 people, and they were concerned about mineral content eroding their plumbing and that their pressure wasn't adequate. But where they're at, I'm more.
They don't,
I think
their
it's
water isn't even coming out of a well, it's coming out of the,
Well, so they have a pump system from pump station 2A down by Anderson Wellfield. But based off of their elevation, their pressure should be 60 pounds. I mean, they're down far from the reservoir. So I don't know if it's an internal issue. I called Kathleen and I said, hey, we've got this group of individuals that seem to have a problem. You might want to reach out. I gave her a name and a contact number. And I said, if
if it's no different than a West Sound customer, we can't,
Yeah, this is just more of a heads up. To change a retail water service area is huge. And again, we don't really have a source.
right now we don't have a source. Down the road, that could be a different conversation.
Right.
It's
I
intertidal.
would think it'd be a highly political conversation. Bremerton's invested a lot of money
Yeah.
in pump station 2A and.
Well, and if these folks need to go talk to, I would recommend that they go talk to the Bremerton City Council.
And that's what we had said, but they feel like
They belong in
they're Port Orchard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were very persistent and they were talking about getting signatures and.
Okay. Well, they can,
And most people don't realize
in
that.
Port Orchard.
should have, but back in the day when it was
70s.
all rural land, magic lines were drawn in
Under
the
the
sand
water. Yeah, under
for
the
regulated
area.
water and sewer, and service areas were divided up, and
Well, remember that the Gorst had, the anticipation was that Bremerton would take Gorst as part of the city of Bremerton. And, they had their Casad Dam and their Anderson Hill wells, their water sources out there. So anyway, I think it's
Interesting.
important to also understand that
okay. we'll
people
work
like to
there.
have 60 pounds of pressure, but the
I don't
DOH
have it.
only has 30 is what all you have to provide. So, okay,
45, good day.
well 9 retrofit 2000 CEA-CM. So this is basically just to let you know, kind of continue updating that the RFQ, request for
That's
qualifications.
this document here?
Yeah. That this is in a kind of a final draft form, that we'll be sending this out at some point here in the next couple months. And this is looking for a consultant to manage the construction phase of the retrofit, which is part of our estimate that we budgeted. Remember, we had the design in 16, which was HDR. We just can't hire HDR to do this. This will have a dollar value that will, following our procurement policies, that we have to go out, get qualifications, select. It could be HDR, but it's whoever's going to be the most qualified, and then we get a proposal in place. The actual construction of the well 9 retrofit, I think we're looking at August, September, or something like that. It was a 17, 18 project, and we have to get Tremont and Bay Street well along on their way. So again, that's just kind of an update of where we're at on that. 166. Okay, so this was a twist of events. And I think we talked about it briefly the last time we talked about it, and what you saw in the minutes was that this culvert that is right next to this woman's house, who is just due east of Solon's, 1301, had contacted the city, had said that the culvert was washing out her bulkhead, and as I reported at the last meeting, we had the attorney give an opinion on whether or not repair and maintenance were the same thing under RCW 4724. She came to the opinion that, yeah, there's nothing that really distinguishes the two, even though I thought that a repair isn't maintenance and the state should have stepped in and fixed that. Well, when we were going through that process, and the end result after the last meeting was that we were going to have to deal with this because it's 60 inches or smaller, which is what the RCW says, that we were going to have to repair that. In talking to Fish and Wildlife, every cross culvert along here is picking up roadside ditch water or runoff from the hill, obviously except Ross Creek and now Johnson Creek, which we've talked about, which is the one at Port Orchard Boulevard. And those are on the injunction list, on the SR1, on the state injunction to have barrier-free fish culverts. So when we had the initial conversation with Fish and Wildlife, they confirmed that, yep, that isn't an issue. You can repair that and not have to make it barrier-free. While we were out, so that's what the minutes reflected. This is going to be our problem, but we can fix it. Then, while they were out starting to look at, with Fish and Wildlife, because we still have to get an HPA, somebody said, that's connected to a stream. Now, it's this tiny little finger of a stream that I would question whether it's a stream, but they decided it was a stream, and therefore it's going to be added onto the state's injunction list, and now it's not our problem anymore. It's the state's. So now this is going to have to be a barrier-free culvert, because you can't extend the life of a non-fish passage culvert. And so that was my concern for us, is that we'd end up having to put in a big box culvert for this thing. So, yeah.
So
it's-
who's communicating to her, or have we?
She was out there when DOT and Fish and Wildlife were all out there. So
She knows.
she knows that she should have not said anything, because now they're talking about
She should have fixed it
Digging up a
herself.
big,
her
huge-
bulkhead isn't being damaged by this culvert. Her bulkhead is actually being damaged by the shore activity, and there's a very good chance she's going to have to remove her bulkhead, because it doesn't meet. Because now she's got all these state agencies down on her. So, yeah,
Sweet.
be careful what you
Yeah.
do. So it's not our problem anymore.
Will they have to dig up that whole area too, when they put these in?
They'll have to do a
The whole thing?
You know, it's
Like
interesting.
doors.
big
From
arch pipe.
our
Yeah.
viewpoint here, it looks like there's a lot of, I don't know what you call this, sediment
not 6
movement
lanes
or
across.
whatever.
Well, you can see that this
Here.
definitely has quite a bit of water coming
Yeah.
out as opposed to some of the others.
multiple
It's
locations on
interesting.
this roadway.
We just wanted to confirm that you
It
can.
wasn't our responsibility, it's theirs now.
They missed it on the original
Yeah,
assessment.
we all pay for it, folks.
Oh, I hear you.
I would think that box culvert's probably, 8 feet wide?
Oh,
So more than 6
Yeah, it has to
inches.
have freeboard, it has to meet.
Killer whale's gotta be able to get up
It's,
well,
yeah.
maybe it'll go on the, like the 2040 list or something.
Oh,
It'll be on the end, yeah, it'll be on the
It's
very.
2032, because the state injunction goes to 2031.
Right. And even our 166 one is way down there, so. Anyway, so it's not our problem anymore. McCormick Water Sewer Special Purpose District update. So as Thomas was saying earlier, we had a in-depth conversation with Greg Krabby on Friday. Their ownership had a few more questions because at the last meeting we talked about that our attorney was talking to their attorney, because their attorney needs to prepare these agreements. What you have in your packet basically is kind of the sewer water financial information,
it's the math behind
the
it.
math behind the agreements, where there is a credit capability in their future connection fees, with the benefits to both parties, in that the city benefits from having needed infrastructure to meet their water and sewer demands, and for their benefit is, at the end of the day, even though they come up with the upfront capital for design and construction, they control their own destiny, because time is money in that world. So this is just more of a, again, it's another update to say that we've now officially handed off the math, and the attorneys have talked, and everybody appears to be on the same page, so this.
It's up to the attorneys now.
Next time you'll see a draft agreement.
I have one question. What is this 580, 660 users? Who are they?
So the 580 and 660 users are the current McCormick area and the proposed McCormick area.
McCormick West and McCormick.
Right.
The 580 is that zone, and then the 660 was a higher, it was like the west end of McCormick West was the 660. And then,
This is a case where we've been working on this for a year,
Yeah.
and if we had been at Code City, we'd have had this done 6 months ago. It's been a more complicated process to get to this end.
right.
These kind of agreements are commonplace in the world, and because we're a second-class city, they aren't commonplace to us.
Next item, so these next two items they're on they were last minute additions to tomorrow's packet. I figured I would get in front of as many council members just to have conversations. They're fairly straightforward. But they're change orders that have come out of our procurement corrections and things as we continue to strive to do things correctly. So in 2016, we had budgeted in 16 and in 17, we had split the 210,000 in 105 for each year. And we'd actually started the process in 16. We went through the selection process, hired, was it Mike Pores? Thomas Pores, or Thomas M. Pores. To do our water rights. And I was hoping that it would just been a change order. Well, it is just a change order, but the amount is above both the mayor and I's capability to sign, even though it's in the budget. So really, this is just coming to have something that's in the budget to add, because
Not all of
the
it's in
contract time was already into 2017.
You only have 105 in the budget, though. and
Right.
You need 150.
Right. And that was, so we had
Your
budgeted.
fiscal statement, did Alan write this one?
Yes. Yeah, he wrote this.
Okay, so you need to point that out
Right.
tomorrow night, that it'll require a budget amendment of $45,000 from the water utility.
But it's actually only 20,
No, you're approving not to exceed 150, and you've got 105 in the budget.
right, but he only spent 21 of the. there's
You're
a-
asking for 150, though.
Right.
Even if you don't spend all of it, you're asking for authority for 150.
Yes. Yes.
Is that 45 coming from the 2018, or it's just no?
It's not in the, it wasn't budgeted.
So
this is costing more than we
Yeah.
anticipated. And Mark is saying a component of it is that last year he didn't spend all of what he was authorized.
Right.
But once the year ended, that slate's wiped
back,
clean.
yeah.
Right.
And it goes back in
General fund.
to 25, no, go back
Water
into
sewer.
in the
Okay.
utility fund, because it wasn't
It's a dedicated
spent.
fund.
Okay.
So what Mark's pointing to is there's a $25,000 difference, but in reality, it's still 45 because this, we erased the whiteboard on December 31st.
It was ending cash balance last year.
That went back into the,
Fund.
So you're saying if there were a 3-year period, we're actually not that bad? Or-
Well,
yeah.
well, this is the cost. The cost is the cost, and he didn't do as much of the work as anticipated in 2016.
He's doing more of it. in
Right.
17.
He did more of it in 17, and half of this overage was work that should have gotten done last year that didn't get done. We didn't pay for it, and it went back into the utility fund. So we need to reauthorize it, and then we need to authorize an additional 20
Right.
to make this contract whole.
And my guess is
Does that
gonna
make
be.
sense?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And my guess is that he's not gonna spend 150. But,
But actually, giving a background of that information, saying that that $25,000 that wasn't used in the previous budget allocation is basically going to be used now.
Needs to be reauthorized.
Right.
right.
And so the difference is about that $20,000 looks a whole lot better than the 45.
The other one is with our water testing, and again, it's a change order. This one was just a biennial budget brain fart on my part. And procurement procedures. So as I was doing, this was the first year we did the 2-year budget, and I went back and I looked at actuals, and for some reason, I said, oh, we need $20,000, and I put 20,000 in, but I split it in the two rather than 20 and 20, I did
For
10
each year.
and 10. And if you've seen my budget, it's like, there's a lot of lines, so this is just my error.
That, and there was an increase in the cost too. So-
And then there- yeah.
So we'll capture the increase in cost and the additional budget year in a budget amendment,
Right.
mid-year budget amendment.
Right, so again, the
This is
fiscal
a
impact.
contract.
Yeah. But again, so it's coming to council, so, and this is our required water testing. We have testing every month, so. So we thought we'd bring both of these to 2 or 3 council members, so that it's at least in the mayor, so that we're very transparent. The last item is a continuation of the well 10, well 13 issue. As we're moving forward on this, we're at the point now to where we just need to make sure that in writing, that if there's any portion of the current work that was done that has to be reimbursed, so the Perry Avenue piece, we had our initial conversations that we had with the Department of Health and Department of Commerce were that there wouldn't be, that there was no issue with the work that had been done. And I forgot when we talked to Karina Hayes, I forgot what she had mentioned to me.
So this is the memo that we were discussing last week.
There's 2 memos in here. There's the one from the treasurer that basically says, hey, I looked at the contract
Yeah.
and.
And this is the memo going, BHC's memo is the one that's going to Department of Health.
This is in draft form. Thomas is adding some additional information to
We've
this.
changed this, remember, okay, so we were doing a treatment system at 10.
Right.
We've changed, that we're drilling a new well and a treatment system out of 13.
Right.
So we had it verbally that this makes more sense, it's more cost effective, go ahead and do that. We never got that in writing. And some of the deck chairs have changed.
The process for going through something like this takes a while, and Commerce doesn't issue that until you formally submit it. So Commerce gets its direction from Health. We had spoken with the regional engineer and the regional planner. They said, yep, you're good, just submit it. We go to submit it, the regional engineer and the planner both took different positions. So we've got completely new head staff at the state level. So what this really is we're just saying, hey, we had this previously agreed to, are we still good and can we get that in writing? It's just a formal.
And the absolute worst case scenario is if we were,
Release the
did
bill.
that design, we did 30% design on Perry, they verbally before they said, don't worry about it, they could make us pay that back, reimburse the utility for that.
Which is a pretty, in a $6 million project, we're gonna get those numbers in from BHC today or tomorrow as what that cost would be, but it'll be pretty negligible.
Yeah,
So our street fund could end up having to pay back
street and storm.
street and storm.
Yeah, but it better, this is one of those things that, hey, if we need to reimburse this part, then we want to know now. Now, the one thing that when I talked to the health on Friday, health's perspective on this happens all the time. And it's exactly why we changed this project. You start on a project because during the pre-design or the initial work, it all looks good. You get down that process and you suddenly decide or determine we need to make a revision. Health would rather you say, you know what, and it's exactly what we did. There's no reason to push this. There's a better way to do this, and they completely support it. And they
We just, all it is we need to get it in
Right.
writing versus
Right.
verbally, so that we don't end up with an audit exception.
Right.
So we're fine,
Right.
we just need it in writing.
This wouldn't affect any work on 1213 though,
no.
no, this agreement.
No,
No.
this
It's
is-
just,
this
it's
is
really
what-
just where you put,
Yeah, and we're changing the location of the well and the treatment system, and we need to, and it all makes sense, we just need to document with health that this is okay, and not just have verbal agreements, because by the time we get this done, there could be 2 more changes in the workers that, you know, and administrators down there, who knows?
Right. So if there is,
Come and file.
so if we have to reimburse, we'd rather know now and get everything in writing. So really, that's it. So what is it? 10.
10:05.